I know, right? Good evening and welcome to the September 1st Finance Committee meeting. I called this meeting to order. Mr. Moriel is on the phone. Mr. Price and Mr. Sides are here. I need to add an item to the agenda under C and put sales tax refund bond. I need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Motion to approve agenda as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Need a motion to approve the minutes of the July 28th meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Kathy, I didn't vote as I wasn't there.
Okay, so 3-0. Thank you. The next item is the fiscal 21 relief funding update. Mrs. McMahon.
So I've updated the document that I started maybe a month or so ago with the additional funding that we've received as of September 1st. Several of the items are technology related plus some EC funds. They're working to get these items spent and encumbered. Does anybody have any questions about any of the categories?
I like that you do this and highlight the new things on there. So thank you very much. It's on
the
more detail for each of those items is on the last page of the memo.
Yes.
If anybody was looking for that.
So I am trying to update some of the numbers as I can and go through some of those. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions on that? Okay, the next item is the what?
No.
Okay, thank you. Fiscal 21 budget update.
Well, so what I've got for you tonight is the budget resolution for this year's budget. We've received state funded. I've budgeted all the state funds we've received to date. We still are awaiting some of our reductions for charter school enrollment, but some of the enrollment numbers and the reductions that we anticipate are on a lag just due to the COVID situation. So I would expect some of those wouldn't post until sometime in October. Does anybody have any questions about any of the items? You'll see in the local, there is some appropriated fund balance on our local resolution. Those items are related to any funds that were encumbered and items not received as of June 30th. We roll those into the new school year, and those are the funds that were obligated for that.
So you're talking on page 2, the $301,570. Okay, and you also see there the $760,000 for the fines, forfeitures, and the ABC revenues.
Correct.
Okay. I also wanted to ask
Sorry, I didn't number the pages.
Okay. Page 4 on capital outlay. Just so you and I talked about this, but I just want to go through it. Regular instructional services, the $2.8 million is the laptop leases.
Those are going to be technology items, which could include laptops.
Okay.
There are debt service payments as well, which would be the laptops that we've currently already got out, out.
Okay. Co-curricular is both Forest Hills and Monroe. They're $50,000 or not Monroe, I'm sorry, Parkwood, for their $50,000 for band uniforms and equipment, correct?
Correct. Forest Hills was in the process of working through that when COVID happened, and so we've carried those funds over.
Okay. And the rest is just split amongst the type of CIP projects we do, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And that does include bond.
Okay. The next page under school nutrition and after school, under after school, it says payment to other government units, indirect costs, 0. So that's because we aren't getting any money in on after school?
Correct. What you see budgeted for after school right now is really just fund balance, and that's to maintain where we've furloughed some employees to maintain their benefits and any full-time staff in the central office that we're using to help in remote learning sites.
Okay. But in nutrition services, we are getting indirect costs because we're doing lunches and stuff.
I have budgeted. I talked to school nutrition. It really depends on whether or not how profitable they are on how much of that we will actually be able to. So we budgeted those funds, but it could be that those funds don't come in quite as high.
And I saw today in the news that the USDA approved free lunches like we did last year. So that is good to know. And I think we started doing it, but I don't see Mr. Strickland. Oh, I'm sorry. We're communicated about it tomorrow. But thank you, sorry. Moving right along. The next page. Let's see. Anything on this page?
Really, those funds are all mostly grant funds that we receive at the district level, or any special, like our EC funding that they get, Medicaid, medical reimbursements, those
Okay.
type items are included in that account.
Okay. And I think we do have to make a motion and action item on this to send it to the full board.
Yes,
since
I
it's
do
on
need-
consent. Okay.
Yes, yes, I do need approval for this to go to the full board.
And I have a comment.
I'm
real
sorry.
quick. One of the growing concerns among school systems across the state is the General Assembly has still not taken up the issue of the hold harmless bill with regard to ADM and enrollment. I think all 115 school systems are advocating for that, and would encourage, as you have been, members of our board contacting our local legislative leaders to ask that they take this item up in the General Assembly ASAP, because we're all very concerned about the possible drop in enrollment and the reduction of funds. They have taken up that bill to allow for such to happen with things like transportation, but the general ADM has not been taken up. So wanted to mention that as a growing concern.
Right, because ADM means how many teacher positions we get as well, right? And what people don't always understand, if you lose 100 students, or just to give you an example, it's not all from one school. It's not all from one class. It's not all from one grade. It can be spread out over 53 schools. It could be 20 in one grade and in 5 in the next grade, but it could mess up how it goes. So if they would hold that harmless, it would be really great. Okay, so I need a motion to approve the budget resolution.
Motion to approve the budget resolution as submitted and report out favorably to the full board.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The next item is something that we just talked about in the facilities committee. We found out that somebody from Shauna's area, or Mrs. McLamb's area, reached out to the county to find out where our sales tax refund was on the bond projects. If people remember, when we are doing bond projects, we deed the property over to the county, and the county gets the sales tax refunds for us and gives them to us. Somebody in her staff inquired about where the sales tax refund was. It's about $180,000. And we were told that it was in our true-up funds, our $1,238,000 that we got in true-up funds, which was more than half of what we normally got. And none of us can remember from February that anybody at the county telling us that the sales tax refund would be in our true-up funds. So that came as somewhat as a surprise. And I think we have to look into that a little bit more. But I wanted to make the finance committee aware of it. And we asked in facilities of Mr. Strickland or anybody that was here, Mrs. Morris or Mrs. McLamb, if they had ever done that before, and we were told no. So it was always separate, the sales tax refund. So
we would have never known if we hadn't caught it ourselves, basically.
At some point we've been looking for it in our bond as a line item. So at some point we were, that's why we were asking. So.
In other words, you caught it, they didn't tell us.
Yes, we did ask about it, yes.
So when we get the sales tax refunds on a bond project, do we use that for the bond project, or it just has to be used for capital?
In the past, historically, the sales tax refund would be put back into the bond fund, and those funds would be
That's what I thought.
reallocated into bond projects or additional projects at those same schools.
Okay.
So now that $180,000, the bond projects are short, that money being reimbursed back into that fund for those bond projects, as opposed to them combining the accounting codes for true up and putting it into our true up funds, which we use for CIP.
I didn't even know that it was in there to do the right thing with it, or to do what we normally do with it, because we didn't know it was even there.
It's my understanding, just like with lottery money or anything else, when that money comes in, we sign it right back over to our projects and stuff for the county. So, so I think we definitely need to have a conversation with the county. How do they plan on putting $180,000 back towards those bond projects? So that's something the full board definitely needs to be aware of, and if we're going to have someone speak, staff speak with the county on, how are we going to, we were anticipating that $180,000 to be put towards those bond projects, because the ledger, when the finance employee discovered that we had never received those dollars, the ledger was empty, was blank for those bond sales tax. So I just want to clarify, I don't think it's a lack of memory that we didn't remember this from the joint meeting at the Ag Center, because I think we were very clear. We were concerned that the true up funds were half of what we had projected or been told to anticipate. And so I know that several board members did ask the county and have a lot of in-depth conversations about why the true up funds were so low. And it just seems like to me that would have been an appropriate time to let us know that they had decided to put the sales tax revenue from the bonds into that true up number as well. So what that also means is that the true up funds were significantly lower than we even thought. So
it comes down to, we basically have to double check the county's math, because we had suspicions to begin with, or concerns, maybe suspicions isn't the right word, concerns. The math just never seemed to add up on the true up funds. And now we find out they're $180,000 less than we were even concerned about to begin with. Can we utilize those funds for other CIP projects other than the projects under the bond? Are we required to use those specifically on the bond projects?
For sales tax refund, from what I understand, when you have the bond sales tax, I don't know that it's legally required, but
Right.
common practice and common standard accounting practices, you
Cleaner
normally,
accounting to do
But
it.
again,
You
we
normally
didn't know
put it-
about it. So
Mhm.
we,
I'm just wondering, in this instance, since we didn't know about it, if we could utilize it on projects that we had to bump out of the CIP budget this year and use those funds to pick some of those up.
well, the true up funds are all capital dollars
Right.
right now. And
Right.
so technically, if it was included in our true up, then all the funds that were used were for CIP items.
yes, because Mr. Sides, we're required to give the county a list of the projects that we're going to use against the true up funds. So the true up funds were $1,238,000, and we
Oh, okay,
gave
so
them
they're
a
already in
list
there. Yeah, I got
of all the projects we're going to do under that. But at that time, and until recent, we had no idea that $1,238,000 included $180,000 in sales tax.
So
refund from-
effectively, we did use it towards CIP projects other than bond
Well,
projects.
it went for
because we didn't know it
capital,
was in there.
right? But
So don't say we did it wrong if you didn't tell us the money was in there, or that wasn't the best way to do it because we didn't know they were in there to begin with, right?
I just thought it was a good idea to make sure that everybody on the finance committee and the facilities committee was aware of what was going on. So we'll go from there. Okay, if there's no more discussion, our next meeting is September 22nd at the PDC, 9 a.m. And I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.